In this concluding session, we will talk about the greenhouse effect and global warming and climate change. What is a greenhouse effect? The trapping of the heat by the atmosphere. In the last session, we saw what is a greenhouse. That was actually a glass covering which allowed light to enter, and the heat that was radiated by the plants, that is the infrared wavelength, was trapped by the glass. That is why it stays warm. But when we talk of greenhouse effect for the earth, it is not a glass or something, but the atmosphere itself. See what happens. Sunlight is radiating heat as well as light. So some of the sunlight is reflected back and some becomes heat. Now the plants and trees and other things, they radiate heat, infrared wavelength. That would also have gone out of the atmosphere but for the presence of carbon dioxide and some other gases, which are called greenhouse gases. They absorb the heat. That is why the earth is warm. There are other gases also which are classified as greenhouse gases or GHG. If we didn't have these type of gases in our atmosphere, then the temperature of the earth on an average would have been minus 18 degrees centigrade. Think of it. The moon's average temperature is around minus 18 degrees centigrade. The moon and earth are nearly at the same distance from the sun, but the earth's temperature, average temperature, is about 15 degrees. That is because of the presence of the atmosphere. More importantly, the presence of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So great. There are lots of natural cycles which maintain the proportion of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which maintains our temperature. But suppose the proportion of these greenhouse gases increases, then the temperature of the earth will rise. That is what is happening. What we are doing now, we are actually, unfortunately, preparing to extinguish life from earth by our irresponsible acts. So we have the incident solar radiation, and about 1366 watts per square meter of power, of rather intensity, power per square meter is intensity, amount of energy coming per second per unit area, that is 1366 intensity. That is incident. Lot of it is reflected back, and some of it is absorbed in the atmosphere. What enters or hits the earth is a lower proportion, 235, and of that 168 is absorbed, and of that 67 remains here. The rest is reflected back as heat, and then we have these greenhouse gases. What are those? Mainly it is carbon dioxide, but there is methane, nitrous oxide, ozone, sulfur dioxide, etc., and also moisture. They are all greenhouse gases. They absorb the heat and that maintains the temperature on the earth. The greenhouse gases GHG produce an average warming effect of about 33 degrees centigrade, thus ensuring that the effective temperature of the earth is on an average 15 degrees centigrade. If the proportion of these greenhouse gases were to increase, then the temperature of the earth would increase. That's what is happening today. Global warming. Human activity is actually increasing the greenhouse gases. The bad news is that since 1900, Earth's temperature has been rising at about zero point 0.8 degrees centigrade per decade. Not at a constant rate. It has been accelerating to three times this figure since 1970. And at this rate, if we continue, by 2100, the temperature of the earth will become 64 degrees centigrade if this is not controlled. What will happen if the temperature of the earth becomes 64 degrees? Devastating, actually. So, what is the human activity that is increasing the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere? We burn fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, natural gas. that produces greenhouse gases. The more we burn, the more we produce. Then we are doing deforestation. We are cutting down trees. Now, trees maintain the CO2 levels by absorbing CO2 through the photosynthesis and releasing oxygen in the process. If you cut down the trees, then the absorption rate of CO2 decreases and the amount of CO2 will increase. That's what we are doing. And then industrial production, particularly cement factories, they produce these kind of gases. Population increase. Every human being emits 32 gigatons of CO2 per year. More the people on earth, more the amount of CO2 being produced. So how many people can the earth support? There must be a limit to that, right? Then there's imbalance of the CO2 cycle. As I said earlier, nature maintains a cycle. Generation rate, absorption rate are equal. Therefore, the level of the greenhouse gases maintains constant in the atmosphere. But now it is leading to an imbalance. The oceans do not absorb carbon dioxide fully, and vegetables are not able to convert carbon dioxide to oxygen because of deforestation. Methane content. Methane is also a greenhouse gas. It is increasing because of rice cultivation that emits methane. Animal husbandry, more the cattle, more the amount of methane generated. Then the process of natural gas exploration, the burning of biomass in forest clearing, the leakage of gas in gas pipelines. These are the various aspects of human activity that are increasing greenhouse gases. We have made the recipe of global warming. Global warming means the increase in the average effective temperature of the Earth's surface. The result can be devastating. Some of it we are already witnessing. The impact is already visible. Variable changes in climate in different parts. Here in Rajasthan in India, which is supposed to be a desert, we are having floods. We are having excess rainfall in some places. We are having drought in some places. There has been a change in the climate, not only in India, but all over the world. Now, this kind of climate change has enforced migrations. Then the blooming season of different kind of plants and flowers, etc., has been affected because each kind of plant requires a certain kind of temperature and rainfall and moisture content. All that is being disturbed by global warming. World's ecology has been affected. One other data is that the number of heat stroke deaths that has increased, the average temperature going up. That is the impact already we are seeing. What are the future projections? Dislocation and disappearance of plant and animal species. Some plants and animals will simply become extinct. 30% of plant and animal species will be extinct by 2050. That is a projection if we continue our activity as we are doing today. And by 2100, 70% of those will be extinct. Animals from hot equatorial regions will migrate to higher latitudes because they will still be cooler than the equatorial region, and that migration will happen. And oceans will turn acidic because amount of carbon dioxide increases and absorption of that by the water becomes acidic, makes the water acidic. So what will happen to the marine species? They can't survive. They will migrate. Warming of oceans. Some marine species will die and some others will increase to abnormal levels. So we are disturbing the natural cycle of the earth, the natural fine balance, I should say, of the earth. What God has given us. We are disturbing that balance. And then due to global warming, glaciers are melting. The Siberian tundra glacier has already started melting. A country called Greenland has experienced 32 glacial earthquakes in 1 year. These are actual data. The projection is that the Arctic snow cover will vanish by 2037. We also see that the sea levels are rising by 3.1 millimeter per year. What will happen to the coastal cities? They will all drown, they'll all vanish. And the marine life depends on the oxygen levels in the water. Some oxygen is dissolved in water. That level is going to decrease. Also, in terms of projections, farming region will be shifted. The warming of nearly 30 degrees centigrade in low latitude regions, that is near the equator, will affect the yield of the crop. That will cause hunger, malnutrition, and the crop yield in higher latitudes will increase. Therefore, migration. Farmers will shift their farming region, but how much land do we have? We don't have unlimited land. You can't have mass migration from equatorial region to the polar region or higher latitude region. How many people can it support? How much land do we have for agriculture? There's a limit to that, right? And new diseases are coming up. The bacteria survive better at higher temperatures. New diseases are emerging, something that we didn't know earlier. And then reduced humidity and higher temperatures will breed mosquitoes and diseases. And heat stroke deaths are increasing. So medical problem is also there. Migration problem, medical problem. The change in regional climate, frequency of hot extremes and heat waves and massive change in regional climate are a natural outcome of warming. And as I said earlier, variable changes in climate, totally unpredictable changes are causing floods, droughts, and storms. And then if we feel that, oh, let the temperature increase, we can do air conditioning, the increase will be there in the cost of air conditioning. Because of melting of glaciers, change in sea level, and it is projected that due to melting of ice in 50 years, the ice at both the poles will melt completely and the sea level will rise. In summary, an unmitigated disaster is staring at us and we need to act now. What do we need to do? Broadly, there are three measures: technological measures, economic measures, and policy measures. We need to act now. First, technology. Don't use fossil fuels much. Find alternate sources of energy, the renewable sources of energy, which are also less polluting. Stop using coal, stop using petrol and diesel. Fossil fuels that we use to generate electricity, they produce nearly 21% of greenhouse gases. This must stop completely, and we need to find urgent replacements of our energy sources. Shift to wind power, shift to solar power, shift to geothermal energy. There has to be a massive shift in terms of technology. Then change our transportation vehicles. The petrol, diesel that we use, they generate 14% of the greenhouse gases. We must shift to electric vehicles. Also, don't have too many vehicles on the road, but with population increasing, how do you ensure that that happens? Well, move the entire transportation mechanism to mass public transport system. Use the metro, use the train, use the public bus, etc., not your personal cars. That shift must happen. And then for cooking, we should move to a different kind of stuff called biochar stuff. The biomass that we use for cooking in developing countries, they generate considerable greenhouse gases, considerable. But the biochar stove burns biomass in the absence of air, releasing smokeless fuels like methane and hydrogen. We burn those, they don't produce smoke, they are less polluting. And also, they leave a charcoal residue which can be buried in the soil. Technology. Then, economic measures. We must have a reforestation programs. Some amount of trees will be cut for the requirement of wood, etc. But we must plant more trees than we cut. And we must have a sustainable use of land. Need to produce more food because of the increasing population is driving us towards unsustainable agricultural practices. That is what is responsible for 90% of deforestation. So, such countries that do that must be forced to adopt reforestation programs. and economic pressures must be applied on such countries to enforce such behavior. Then, on industries, there must be a disincentive. They must be forced to pay carbon tax. Those who produce more pollution, they must be forced to pay more money. So that will push them to change their behavior, to adopt some other method of producing those goods. They must use more energy efficient methods, use more teleconferencing rather than traveling. Basically, push the people to adopt better practices. And then policy measures. Our children must be educated right now to change their lifestyle, to adopt a sustainable lifestyle. Inculcating these values in children will create a more responsible society. That is, make full use of what we have, recycle things, manage e waste, consume less, be less materialistic. So, all these are attitudinal changes that we need to bring in the future generations. Of course, the adults must change also, but there must be a drive to create this kind of awareness amongst children because they are the future citizens. And of course, we must control our population. The world can only support a certain number of people, you see. In 2011, there were about 7 billion people on Earth. It is projected to go to more than 9 billion by 2050. There must be a limit to the number of people that the Earth can support. So, therefore, population growth must be a drive by everybody on Earth. Family planning, welfare provisions to encourage smaller families, empowerment of women through education, and financial independence. There's a lot of study that has been conducted to understand why some countries, some families produce more children. There are some genuine reasons. We have to attack those reasons. So, all in all, it must be a concerted effort by all of humanity to protect our Earth because, in the end, we only have one Mother Earth. We have only one planet to live in. So, that completes this chapter of heat. So, as usual, please go and do the questions in your school textbook and then the assignment available within the course material and take the appropriate tests also.